Hello everybody, welcome back to the Hendryx Files. I'm your host, Kylie Hendryx, and today I'm joined by Lamya Dollar. Introduce yourself.
Hi, my name is Lamya, and I make special stories for Cain Live.
Very good to have you on the show today. And today we're going to be talking about what we like about horror movies. Is there any horror movie that you've seen recently, Lamya?
I think the last one I probably watched was A Quiet Place. I think it's been a while since I watched one.
Yeah, just the genre of horror. We're going to be focusing on not just the scary franchises as Nightmare on Elm Street or Friday the 13th. We're going to be talking about thriller horror movies, psychological stuff, movies that we've seen as well. And just to put it out there, the most recent horror movie I've seen, or thriller I should say, is Greta. And if you haven't seen it, I highly recommend it. It's a very good and intense movie, and I don't know, it just it's a good movie overall. So I highly recommend that if you haven't seen it. But I have an article pulled up here talking about this one psychologist who was doing a study of why people like horror movies, and I highlighted this one section because I could kind of understand what he was saying here. And this says, most people who view horror movies understand that the filmed events are unreal, which furnishes them with psychological distance from the horror portrayed in the film.
Oh, I really feel that, because every single time, even if I'm watching any movie, I just make myself think this is not real, so I don't have to get really emotionally attached to it. Mm-hmm. Or just horror movies too.
Yeah, that's the biggest thing for me too. If I get too scared, or let's say I'm thinking about it whenever I'm about to go to sleep, and I'm okay, this is actually really scarier than I thought. I just have to keep telling myself it's not real. So I think that is one of the biggest things. We're able to put ourselves in that situation of being scared because we know in the very end it's not real, and we can actually enjoy the movie with knowing that it's not actually real. And there's this other highlighted portion that I had right here, and he was talking about the different movies or the different types of people who watch horror movies and how they basically react. And one of the quotes that he had in here was, whenever people watch thriller horror movies, they watch those types of movies because usually at the end of those types of movies, the hero or the main character of the movie was able to triumph their obstacles or whatever they had to go through, which all in all just puts us in a feel-good mood of you know what, that's a strong character. I can relate to them. Are you able to put any input on that, Lamya?
Yeah, I feel once you get that ending of they accomplished I guess their goal of defeating the obstacle, whatever, you're just oh, okay, it's fine now. It's not as scary anymore. It's gone and stuff. So you don't feel scared anymore, I think. Yeah.
Yeah. And me personally, I love thriller movies. Don't get me wrong, but I'm more so on the side of supernatural type horror movies where it's you have a creature that's present throughout the film. Are you one of those types of watchers?
Yeah. Did you watch Bird Box?
I did.
Yeah, I think that was good. But the ending, I didn't really like it that much because I didn't know it was definite, because they were just in one area, but I didn't know what was going to happen, what happened to the creature and stuff, you know?
Mm-hmm. I also think a big part of horror movies too is I think we humans are just naturally curious. It's in our human nature, and I feel that element of mysterious and you want to know what's going to happen next, or what this creature is, or what this character is going to do. Just that hint of curiosity and wondering, I think, also plays a key element in why we're so drawn to these types of movies.
And the suspense that you have throughout the movie, and you're just intrigued about every step that's going to happen, or what's going to lead to the ending, I guess.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I was thinking about this earlier last week, and I was thinking, you know what? I'm drawn to more of the iconic horror movies like Child's Play and Nightmare on Elm Street, Freddy Krueger and Chucky, all the classics. I don't know why. I'm more so drawn to like those types of like movies. Are you like that too?
Like, you mean, what do you mean by, like, what category are you talking about?
Like just the 80s, pretty much 80s, 90s horror films.
I haven't watched many of those, but I do like Chucky, the one that you mentioned.
Mm-hmm.
I like the doll ones because they really scare me, but it's fun to watch, I guess.
Yeah, and I think also one of the reasons, at least for me, is I get to be in this like little space where anything could be possible because like in real life, like a doll isn't going to really come to life and like we don't know this, but we don't know. We're hoping that a doll wouldn't come to life and like just try to come after you, or that this man would come out of a lake and chase you down. Like that's what I mean. Like you just get this sense of like anything could happen in a movie, which honestly I like. Like I know a lot of people like more realistic movies, like with stuff that could actually happen or that are based on true events. Like I guess I could be the more psychological movies where it like talks about serial killers or something like that. But for me, at least, it's just kind of like, I don't know.
No, with me too, I like the ones where they're fictional, like something that couldn't happen in real life, because then I wouldn't have to imagine what if it did. You know, have you watched those actual like based on true event stories? They really scare me because it's just, you know, it actually happened to a person, and yeah,
and I feel
conspiracy
like,
theory stuff.
Yeah, like I feel like the movies that say they're based on true events, like those are the ones that scare me more than like a monster that someone created like with CGI or something like that. I don't know.
Yeah, same.
A big aspect with like just scary movies in general is like the creativity that comes with it. Like I can watch a movie and say at the end, "Oh yeah, that was a really good movie," or maybe I just wasted like an hour and 30 minutes of my life watching this. But I don't know, like especially whenever they talk about like the monsters that they create and like just the inspiration like from behind the scenes, like whenever you watch where these people get their inspiration from for like these creatures that they create, or just the creativity that they come up with of the storyline, like if it's a franchise or something like that. I find it really interesting that people get that creative. Like, for example, like the Saw movies. Have you seen any of those?
Yeah, I think I watched a little bit of it. I know the story behind it, but I haven't watched all of them.
Okay, because the Saw series honestly makes me sick to my stomach sometimes because first of all the gore
so
is
gory,
like the gore is unbelievably out there, but just who comes up like in their right mind, who has the creativity to come up with like the different traps that they put in that movie, or just like the storyline of it all, like that's what creeps me out the most.
Have you watched Final Destination?
I've seen like one or two of the movies.
Yeah, those movies really scare me because even though like all those people, they just all die one by one, but they all died through like some things that could happen in real life. Like this one kid dies on a roller coaster that stops functioning and everything, and that really scares me actually because like, you know, it could happen.
The movies that like have that hint of realism, like it's so absurd, but it could happen in real life. Those are the ones that scare me. Like I saw this one movie with an elevator. I cannot remember the name of the movie for the life of me, but they're in an elevator and this like creepy girl was like just haunting them one by one and like just making bad stuff in the elevator happen. Like that messed me up because now I hate elevators a little bit. But I don't know. Do you think they're like, I don't want to say like beneficial, but do you think scary movies could have some beneficial factors for somebody as far as like creativity wise or just something like that?
I guess I would say like if it was, I guess it just prepares you for some things that could happen or it just makes you less scared of the real world because you know these things aren't going to happen and you can tackle the actual, like, you know, you don't, I guess, I don't have words to put it.
Yeah. I think with scary movies, that could be a good aspect to look at it as is the creativity-wise, but if we were to go into, like, thrillers, I can definitely say I've made a couple of mental notes from watching horror movies, especially the ones that are like over kidnapping.
Oh yeah, me too.
Like, have you, like, I don't know if you've seen it, but have you ever heard of the movie Prisoners?
No.
If you have not seen it, I highly recommend it. It's like such a mind-boggling like thriller movie, and I watched it with my whole family, and we're at the edge of our seats the whole time. It's just crazy, but I don't know. I think horror movies do have some good intentions behind it, whether it's to inform the watchers, like, hey, just be more aware of your surroundings.
There's entertainment as well.
Yeah, I think there's like a lot of good aspects that do come with watching these types of movies, like how I said just now, like being aware of your surroundings, or just be careful who you talk to, or just be careful of how much of yourself that you put out there, because you never know like what could happen, because this world is crazy. But yeah, if we're to talk more about like the psychological, more fiction movies, is there any like documentaries that you've seen about that recently?
No, I have one on my list for Netflix, but I didn't really get to watch it because it had a lot of episodes. But have you watched any?
Yeah, me and my family this weekend started watching this series that talk about serial killers and like basically just their whole investigation behind it, because I don't know, our family's been like into the ID channel recently, so we're like all caught up on those shows. But just like hearing the stories, like there is this guy who was a clown who'd like go to different birthday parties, and he ended up doing like gruesome stuff, which is awful. But yeah, I think on a scare aspect, those get to me more.
Yeah, my mom watches this show, and it's just basically these people. I think they investigate, or they find all these psychopathic people who are like killing everyone, and like their stories of why they started doing this stuff is really just like scary, because and then the way they do it too is just to feel pleasure and everything, and it really scares me.
Yeah, it's almost like they don't look at human life as like a real
there's
thing.
Like no humanity left in them, I guess.
Yeah. I also saw this documentary on Charles Manson, which creeped me out.
Who's that?
Charles Manson. He was like this big cult leader who had all these followers. He died not too long ago, actually, and I think he did. Pretty sure he did, but
I hope.
Yeah, for real. But yeah, we're watching this documentary, and I never knew about this, but apparently Charles Manson created a song, which don't hate me too much. It actually isn't that bad. Because they played a clip of it, and I'm just like, wait, he knows how to sing.
Yeah, those people they start off nice, and then it's just like, I don't know what happened to them, I guess.
Yeah, it's just weird to think that a person that could have done something so wonderful with their life,
or meaningful to their life, instead of just going out and...
Yeah, because he honestly could have had a really good career with his singing. He was that good for at least the 70s. Mm-hmm. And so I'm just like, why would you do that with your life? You threw it away.
Do you know why he started killing, or was he a serial killer?
He killed a couple of people, yeah.
Do you know why he started doing it?
It's just all in his head. Is like the big problem. He thought he was like this bigger than life guy who had all these followers that would like lay down their life for him, and so he just thought he could get away with anything, I guess.
That kind of reminds me of we're studying the Holocaust in history, and that's what it reminds me of, because that's what kind of Hitler did. Mm-hmm. He had all these people leading, following him, and he just killed whoever he wanted, all these Jews and everything.
Mm-hmm. And he was a really good painter before all this happened too.
His art was amazing, and he didn't get into the art school that he wanted to. And I think the principal or that committee that selects people, I think they were Jewish and everything. Mm-hmm. And so our teacher was saying maybe that's where his hate started a little bit, and it just kind of...
Because he was art is a very passionate thing. It's a lot of people's passion, and to have someone turn you down like that, I've been turned down by my art before, and it just doesn't feel good. I'm not gonna do anything bad over it, but it's like...
But it's just the time and effort you put into it, and then someone rejecting, I guess, your idea.
Yeah.
Or something.
Like, you haven't even met them, you haven't even known them for, 5 minutes, and they're like, this is what you could have done better. And I'm just like,
yeah.
But I spent months on that. What do you mean? Yeah. I think that's where a lot of these horror films can learn from, is, like, just throughout history, everything that's happened, like, watching these events unfold, like, especially in the, like, long time ago, like 1920s, like, there was crazy stuff happening.
Mm-hmm.
Like, stuff that people couldn't get away with now that we have, like, the technology and detectives that we do. But, I don't know, just watching stuff like that just creeps me out, because, like, especially if it's based on history, like, that stuff actually happened back there, and it's gruesome to think about, because, I don't know.
I know, we were watching this clip where Americans finally get to the camps where Jews were, like, staying, and it's just their reactions and everything. It really scares me that the way the Jews were being treated and everything. It's just, like, Hitler had no humanity left in him anymore.
It's like a total, like, alien feeling to think about. I don't know. It's just weird, I guess. But I think that wraps up this episode of the Hendryx Files. So thank you so much for joining me, Lamya. This was very last-minute decision.
Yeah, thanks. It was fun.
And we hope you enjoyed this episode, and we'll see you in the next one.